Hey, welcome back, everybody. Thank you for sticking around. We've been talking a little bit of kicking around some fixes, trying to solve the world's problems, 1 hour-long radio show at a time here out of Des Moines, Iowa. And we're here with David Rogers from Democracy Matters. And David, I mean, you are the guy that's on the ground. You are the expert at this stuff. You're the one that is advocating policy prescriptions and proscriptions, and also things that we don't want our candidates to do. Some of the things that Doc and I have kicked around, I mean, are they approaching any sort of thing that you have been working on that you guys have kicked around at the office, and limits or pros, cons? What are you thinking?
Yeah, to a degree, we've kicked around a few ideas recently, more at the state level, and for instance, here in Iowa, there's no limits on contributions. You can donate as much as you want to any candidate. So Iowa has one of the least repressive, I guess you'd say, laws in that way. Which kind of leads to a problem in a way. It creates these maybe 200 or 300 very deep wells of money that everyone kind of has to go and drink at and ask for water from. Whereas it probably would be more democratic, I suppose you'd say, more democracy-like. If rather than just having 200 or 300 deep wells of money that everyone has to go to that are mostly self-interested wells, if it was just a very large, very shallow pool where everyone had the equal ability to exercise their free speech insofar as how much they had in their bank to donate. So, we've been kind of thinking about it from a sense of limiting the amount that any one person can donate, rather than limiting the amount of how much a campaign can raise. That way, the candidates all have to go to everyone to be able to raise. If they need $5 million to run for governor, they're going to need to go to more than a few people, And
isn't that exactly what the Supreme Court says you can't do anymore?
Seems like it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's a problem.
Now hold on here. I'm gonna disagree a little bit with this. I know when I ran for office, I talked to as many people as I could, and I know Brad Zahn bangs on doors every campaign. He's personally out there. Knocking on doors, meeting people. I know that David Young took a little bit more of a standoffish approach, but he was still out there banging doors. Joni Ernst, she went door to door a lot.
Well, are you talking about vote getting, or are you talking about fundraising? Because it's those are two different things.
Well, but you guys are talking about, you're doing fundraising, but then you're acting like the money is the only vote that's out there. And don't get me wrong, that's influential. But I think
that's the issue, though.
But these people do go out and they do meet people, and especially during the primary, that when these people are trying to get the votes out, they have to go to the core of the Republican Party. And there's a lot of people. Remember Jill Ellsworth? Remember, we've had her on the show? She doesn't give a dime to anybody.
Right.
I mean, it's rare. But every Republican candidate goes to her and talks to her.
But Doc, let me stop you, because I think you're moving away from what we're talking about. It's the analysis is not that these people aren't all politicians that know how to press the flesh, but there is something fundamentally different between a Joni Ernst and a Joe Grandinet. Joe Grandinet knocked on doors. Joe Grandinet went all over the place, and he wasn't able to raise a dime because he wasn't connected to the people that had the money. And that's what Dave's talking about.
Yeah, well, there's a guy named Craig Robinson.
Yes.
And you know him.
I know Craig, right? Yeah. And not personally, but we're familiar with his work.
Absolutely. And he told me one time that you need to watch how somebody can fundraise, because that really tells you, can he put together a coalition that can help him get elected? Is he able to effectively put together these people that are disparate in nature in order to be able to effectively govern when he's in Congress? And I think that's a legitimate concern. What do you think about that, Dave?
Absolutely. You're governing the people, not the few people, but the people. And that's one of the reasons that we kind of think that sort of the shallow pool rather than the collection of deep wells it actually speaks to that. It addresses that, and it encourages that because then the candidate has to really just address everyone and say, I need your $5. I need $1 million for my campaign, so I'm going to need $10 from 100,000 of you. And that's a very strong coalition to build. Yes. If you look at the records, like go on the federal and look at Open Secrets or the FEC records, and see the ratio of individual donors to PAC donors. It's pretty shocking in most cases.
And I would agree, because right now Rick Perry hasn't been paying his staff, and the campaign's in trouble. However, he happens to have a super PAC with $17 million just sitting there waiting to help him out. And I'm sitting here going, well, hold on. I think the people have already spoken here. But I agree with you, because of these super PACs that both sides have and utilize to a great extent, you have a problem. Now, I just took the final word, which is kind of rude. We want to thank David for being on the show. Do you want to stay for the next segment? We're going to be talking about spice and K2 and synthetic marijuana and stuff. So
I'll listen. I don't have a whole lot of knowledge or input in that, but right, I know it's very concerning.
Well, our social media gal wanted us to talk about it tonight.
Sure.
So, she's a great gal. So anyway, we want to thank David for coming on. Now, how can people donate to your cause?
Well, you can go to democracymatters.org. That's our website, and take a look and see all the kinds of great things that our college students do all over the country and their organizations on campus. And you can see links to any number of articles that have been written about our interns this summer, bird dogging campaigns, and making everybody kind of itch where they don't want to a little bit. Hillary and Trump and Jindal and Jeb Bush and O'Malley, all sorts of them. We've been talking to all of them and asking them very straight questions, and much more straight than the press has been asking, quite frankly, about these issues.
And that doesn't surprise me at all. So we'll be back right after this break. I want to thank Dave Rogers for coming on our show. He's Iowa Director of Democracy Matters. Thanks, David. Appreciate it. We'll be back right after this break. We're going to be talking about synthetic marijuana and the dangers of spice and K2.